Hey, what's happening, peace? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? I'll go ahead. I thought I was going ahead and start another leg of this hangout here. I thought I was going to do it earlier, but apparently I got caught up today. So you know how it is. Everyday life can't take a toll on you, but it is what it is. Okay. Meantime, I got to address something here, okay? Because this crazy talk is really, really getting out of hand here. All right. Now, it appears that Andre Ward is still not getting the respect that he should be getting. All right, I'm just being honest. I don't know what it is. Like I said earlier in my last hangout, it seems like the haters. I got to call for what they are. They are haters. The haters, including Carl Froch and Sergey Kovalev. Hey, what's going on, MBT brother? What's happening? What's happening, man? Hey, do you want to get on this hangout so we can talk about this, man? Because dude, there's a lot of people that still hating on Andre Ward. Even after the man announced his retirement, they're still not happy about it. It's like guys were begging for him to leave the sport, and now they're trying to kick him. Now they're trying to kick him to the now they're trying to kick him to the ground after the fact that he announced his retirement. At least you would hope that they'd be a little bit more gracious to say, you know what, even though I despise the guy, but I respect what he did in his career. He did some good things. He's taken on challenges. All right, brother. I'll give you 15 minutes, brother. Take your time, man. He's taking all the challenges and whatnot, and yet he still can't get no credit. Okay, there's guys going around like Carl Froch and Sergey Kovalev saying that Andre retiring is good for the sport and nobody's going to miss him. All right, first of all, let me tell you something about Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev for one. Sergey Kovalev, while he continues to fight, Andre Ward's name is going to still be brought up. Okay, even if Sergey Kovalev had retired today or tomorrow, whatever the case may be, Andre Ward's name is still going to be brought up. Why? Because Andre Ward, what he did in the Super Six, will never be forgotten and always will be monumental. Okay, he went into that tournament when nobody thought he had a chance of winning that tournament against the likes of Froch, Abraham, Kessler, and all the other super middleweights, and he did it. Okay, cleaned out that division and became a lineal unified champion. But no, he gets no credit for that whatsoever. None from his detractors. None. Okay, and you got other guys out there saying that, well, he didn't live up to my expectations while he was fighting. I mean, what expectations did you want him? Did he not live up to? I mean, the man fought the best of his division. Okay, he beat those guys. Probably not in the style that you hope that he would do, like a Rock'em Sock'em robot style of fighting, which a lot of people glorify, even going all the way back to the early 1900s when boxing was more of a bloodthirsty sport when it pertains to the crowd. But now in this day and age, there's a variety of styles where boxing is considered a martial art. Variety styles are welcome, not in the terms of MMA style fighting. What I mean is there's different styles of fighting. You have guys that fight off the back foot. There's guys that do pressure swarming styles, and there's guys that have an awkward way of fighting, like Ricardo Mayorga. All right. So if the style helps you get through fights, that's all that matters. Okay. I don't know why people keep buying. Some people buy into this narrative that styles mean more important than accomplishments. Okay, Jake LaMotta didn't have a fucking style. Okay, he was a very basic fighter, but yet his style, he had a swarming style, I should say, but his style got him through fights, got him great wins, even against Black Murder Rose members like Homer Williams and Burt Lydell. Okay, so I don't understand why the style had to be more important than accomplishments. Tony Yaye, let me see. Oh, and NBT says that War was fourth favorite to win the Super Six. Kessler and Roger Abraham were top three. Absolutely. Like I just said, he was an underdog going into that tournament, and he won it. And he's still not getting any respect for that. None. After he was going through his trials and tribulations after that Super Six with his then promoter Dan Goodson, a lot of people criticized him for how he handled that situation, including me. We all did. Even the big War fans were criticizing him for that. Okay, but when he finally got through it, and then he got to that situation, the talks of Gennady Golovkin fighting super middleweights came into question. When Golovkin decided to call out that division that Andre Ward was champion in, he was the top guy. Hey, what up, Alexander Mayweather? I'm doing good, brother. I'm doing good. I'm just addressing this Andre Ward hate that's still continuing after the fact that man has announced his retirement. I cannot believe it, man. But anyhow, so anyways, so now I lost my train of thought. Okay, so anyways, after the Super Six, going through his trials and tribulations with his then promoter, when he got through that situation, when Gennady Golovkin started to come about, he called out the division that Andre Ward competed in. All right, so Andre Ward responds to the challenge. So all of a sudden, when Golovkin and his team decided that, well, you know what, they want to decide to move the goalposts on that a little bit. We'll take on you unless you agree to a catchweight. That's exactly what happened. But yet, when Ward does a counteroffer saying, no, let's do it full 168, 50-50, Golovkin rejects the fight. And yet, Andre Ward still gets criticized for that situation. All the Golovkin fans who were trying to propagate him as the monster middleweight, saying that he doesn't need to be fighting Andre Ward needs to stop being a coward and fight Sergey Kovalev. He goes up and weight and challenges Kovalev and still gets no credit for that. And they, instead of giving him credit for that, they said, well, I hope his ass dies and gets killed by Sergey Kovalev. I mean, seriously, this is how sinister and psychotic these guys are becoming, man. It's unreal. Like it or not, controversial decision or not, very close fight could have gone either way. Andre Ward battled back, got hurt early in the fight, got knocked down, got back up. It took away Kovalev's best weapons in that fight, which Kovalev himself knew that he didn't win that fight beyond reasonable doubt. Okay, it could have gone either way, and Andre Ward got the decision. But after that, oh no, Andre Ward needs to stop being a fucking coward. Give Sergey Kovalev a rematch. Stop being a coward. Stop being a pussy. What does he do? He gives him the rematch. No credit, none. Oh, I hope Kovalev really kills him this time because he really motivated. What happens the next fight? Andre Ward stops him. No credit. I don't want to hear no shit about low blows. We've been through this debate so many fucking times. Okay, it was Kovalev who mentally quit in that fight. Okay, he was looking for a way out, and you guys can't even deny that. It was Andre Ward that broke this man's will. And you guys still in denial about that. But yeah, now that this man is retired, again, you guys can't even show any maturity or gracefulness to pay this man some respects that he deserved. And it's sickening to me. Okay, and then you got the other half, the Adonis Stevenson fans who are pissed off that he didn't fight Adonis Stevenson. Now they're saying they're calling Andre Ward a coward. They said the reason why he retired so that way he can avoid Adonis Stevenson. He's a bitch and a sissy for doing it. So I asked one of these guys, I was like, really, what's your evidence? Can you prove to me that Andre Ward deliberately retired just to get away from Adonis Stevenson? Where's your evidence of that? None. Instead, they're calling him a coward and a pussy, just like what the Kovalev fans are doing and the Golovkin fans are doing. Okay? I'll say one thing to those Golovkin and Stevenson fans. What you guys need to do is start pressuring those guys to start doing what Andre Ward did. Start taking on other challenges and succeeding. The tough challenges. Now, Golovkin is starting to do that recently. Okay, I'll give him a little slack. But as far as Stevenson, yeah, Stevenson is 40 years old. So what? The division is wide open. He needs to fucking go ahead and handle his business. He need to put in some work. All the belts are scattered now. He need to go collect them. Okay? Don't sit there and focus on Andre Ward. Andre Ward is retired now. Adonis Stevenson needs to start handling his business now. But I don't see no signs of him doing that. Where's Adonis Stevenson? Did he say anything about Andre Ward announcing his retirement? Where is he? Tony Ye, who says that where do Don Stevenson have fans? Well, actually, he has a handful of fans, brother. He does. Alexander Mayweather. Let me see. Well, Tony Ayo, let me go back to your last comment, man. You said did not bother open up my Twitter since I expect boxing Twitter to delete Montero, Steve Kim, Doug Fisher, etc. to talk down about his accomplishments after the Chocolate Tito retired. They all praised him though. You know what? I think you hit the nail on the head on that one, man. It just always has a double standard when it comes to situations like that. It seems like these writers and journalists and even certain fanboys want to praise a fighter for their accomplishments, but yet they want to degrade another fighter because he lacked a certain skills, even though that other fighter has more accomplishments than the other fighter. Yeah, it's unbelievable, man. Roberto, what's up, Roberto? Let's see what you said here. Say, what's good, man? Damn, a lot of haters coming under the rocks. Ward did his thing just like the man lived for real. Damn, the man does have feelings. It is what it is. It is true, man. He's not perfect. There were a couple guys we wish he could have fought. I wish he could have fought Adonis Stevenson. I wish he could have fought Lucien Bute. But as Mr. Boston today said on his channel his video earlier today, that many great fighters are going to fight. You're not going to fight guys that we wish that could have been done. Okay, we could go back to Felix Trinidad and Ike Cortez back in the mid '90s when people were calling for that fight to be made, and it didn't get done. Okay, I wish Tito Trinidad and Ike Cortez would have fought. Okay, I wish that Ricardo Mayorga and Fernando Vargas were fighting in their prime, but it didn't. But they did fight, at the end of their prime where both guys were shot. But it is what it is. I wish they could have fought earlier. It'd been a more interesting fight. But going all the way back to the 1900s, where Jim Jeffries and and the Harry Wills, that was a fight that people were talking about that should have been made back in those days, but it didn't happen. George Foreman, Larry Holmes, a fight that didn't happen. I was hoping that could get done, but that didn't happen. Or Shane Mosley and Felix Trinidad, a fight that I wanted to see back in 2004, that didn't happen. So I could go on and on and on, man. Costa Tszyu versus Oscar De La Hoya. So it is what it is, man. But the thing is that Andre Ward is getting shafted only because, one, either he didn't fight Lucien Boutte, two, he didn't fight Adonis Stevenson. First of all, let me tell you something. When Adonis Stevenson retires today, is anybody going to hold Adonis Stevenson to that highest regard than Andre Ward? Fuck no. I can tell you one thing. Adonis Stevenson will be forgotten if he's retired today. If he leaves the sport today, he'll be forgotten. No one's going to talk about that guy. I'm just keeping it real. Okay? Yeah, hold on, brother. I'm going ahead and send you the link. MBT Boxing. Let's see. Tony Yayo, they're Stevenson fans. Yeah, I just answered that, man. It is. Alexander Mayweather. See people trying to discredit Ward's accomplishments. Absolutely, man. Is that dude over in Taiwan? He's doing that shit. He's trying to discredit this dude, saying that Ward. He's trying to degrade Ward for what he did in the Super 6 only because Ward was the only fighter who didn't travel outside the states to fight. What does that fucking matter, dude? The fact is that Ward was an underdog. He was not expected to win that Super 6. Those fights were tough, even in the United States' backyard. He had tough fights in the Super 6, and he suffered some damages in those fights. He got through it. Jesus Christ. Joe Kawasaki spent a majority of his career over in Wales. But do we hold that against Joe Kawasaki? Fuck no. Jesus Christ, man. So, let me see. Let me send this link over to NBT. All right, brother. I put it right there. Go ahead and jump on. Hey, Roberto Avalos says that, hey, Superman ain't done shit, period. You know what, man? Adonis Stevenson has been one of the most disappointing champions in the last few years. There's no denying it. However, I will give credit when credit is due. He did beat Chad Dawson. I got to give credit for that win, although Chad Dawson was shot after the Andre Ward fight, so that was a leftover. He did beat Tavoris Cloud, who was a Bernard Hopkins leftover, and Tony Bellew. So I will give him credit for that win. But the fact is, those fights were 4 years ago. It's almost nearly more than 4 years now that Adonis Stevenson hasn't really done anything significant. Okay, his championship run has been so stagnant to the point that even his Ring magazine title was stripped from him. That's something that's kind of unheard of. Have a guy be stripped of his Ring magazine title. Okay, and I'm surprised his lineage hasn't been stripped from him. But it is what it is. And to be fair, I know I've been going at it, Adonis Stevenson, but the thing is that as far as now the light heavyweight landscape now, he'll reclaim the number one spot as the number one light heavyweight, and he is still the lineal champion. But the fact is that he is not pound for pound at all at this point. Okay, the fact that he was removed from the pound for pound rankings only because his inactivity was, not inactivity, is because his activity of fighting subpar opponents has really had hindered his run as champion. Okay, and Adonis Stevenson, based off his attitude and his language, it doesn't seem like he doesn't care what people think at this point. Ever since he got that Chad Dawson win and he started, to cash in on those big money fights against like Cloud, Bellew, and who else? So forth, and the Favars. He's been very comfortable. So basically, he's very comfortable with the fights. He doesn't care at this point. Even if he retires, he has a lot of money. So forth. He can leave the sport with a clean bill of health. But anyways, what's going on, brother MBT?
Sorry, I did the overplay thing. How you going, Dan? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, brother.
Hey, how you going? All right?
Yeah. I'm good, man. I'm just.
I missed the last 10 minutes. I heard your first 5 minutes or so, but I missed your last 10. So you were talking about Kovalev and Carl Froch?
Yeah, they've been, is hit Carl Froch, Kovalev, all these Andre Ward detractors they're still trying to beat this man down after the fact that he retired. I do
Yeah,
not
just
understand it at all. I mean, look, you don't have to like the guy, but at least pay the respect and say, you know what, I disagree with, he and I had some differences, but I respect what he done in his career. He had a great career. He took on the best fighters. He took on guys and nobody didn't think he could win. He did it. So he has my respect. But it seems like Carl Froch, and I like Carl Froch, but he just cannot let go of the fact that he lost to Andre Ward. That loss is
he,
still getting to
yeah,
him.
yeah. He's
Kovalev,
generally, yeah. Sorry.
go ahead, man. Sorry.
I was going to say,
No, go ahead, man.
when
Go ahead.
it comes to Carl Froch, he's just genuinely a bitter man. It's not just someone like Andre Ward that he's lost to. I mean, he speaks about James DeGale and Joel Calzaghe, even though the guy was out of his prime when he was trying to get the fight with him. Just opponents that he's had history. Even Triple G, he bashes him all the time. He's just a very bitter guy when it comes to anyone that was his rival. When it comes to either them beating him or he didn't get in the ring with them, he just wants to let them know that he's on top of the world. And I mean, Kovalev, man, we saw it in the rematch how mentally weak that guy is and how he just is all over the place. I wouldn't really take him extremely serious, you know what I mean? So they're
Yeah,
the two guys, yeah.
yeah, I agree with that. With that right there. It's funny about Kovalev. The thing is, the dude is really all over the place. If you notice that after that second Andre Ward loss, he disappeared. He pretty much couldn't be found in front of a damn camera, right? He kind of hid in the dark and gave several interviews to publications in Russia. At
Mm.
first, he said that I'm not going to focus on boxing. I'm going to focus on something else. He was talking about retirement. He was talking about I'm going to try to wait. I'm going to reevaluate where I'm going from here as far as my management team is concerned. So he wasn't really keen on getting back into the fray that quite soon, although the Zabransky fight got announced.
Yeah.
But ever since Ward had announced his retirement, this dude's been coming out, being vocal. It seems like his confidence level's gone back up. So it's like now he's saying that, well, the reason why is Ward retiring because he's afraid of me. He's ducking me for a third fight. I'm like, okay, this dude, man.
He's down 3-0 already. I thought he was down 3-0 already. Once you make an appeal and you lose the appeal, that's a third loss, man. So I don't know. We don't want to see a fourth fight personally.
I know. That's true. And the thing is, too, he already conceded that Ward was a better fighter. He's willing to train with Virgil Hunter to make him as good as Ward with certain conditions.
That may be actually an explanation. Maybe he was actually interested in training with him, and then when Andre Ward came out in the interviews and he said, no, Virgil Hunter's got to speak to me before that happens. Maybe he saw that interview and then now he's pissed off and he's talking shit about Andre Ward again. You know what I mean? That could be a really good
Right, right.
explanation.
It could be. It could be that. And the fact is that he claims that he's moving on from Andre Ward. Really, if you're moving on from Andre Ward, why did you speak about him ducking you for a third fight? You're
Yeah.
still talking about the man. You just like Carl Froch can't get over the fact that you lost to a better man that you guys thought you can bully and overpower because he's a small guy. It didn't happen in the ring. Because Andre Ward is a very small. He's a small guy. He's not a big light heavyweight. He certainly was
Oh,
not a big super middleweight. And he bullied both. Well, not bullied, but he stood up against Froch and Kovalev.
yeah.
So those two guys need to get over that fact. And Carl Froch had a great career after that loss. He became a better fighter after that.
Oh, yeah.
Because he had the mental capacity. But as far as
Yeah.
Kovalev, I do not know what. I mean, I don't know what. All I gotta say is that if he loses to Zabransky, that's it for him. No more lucrative fights for you. Your ass will be looking stupid if you lose that fight.
Mm, mm. I
Yeah.
was gonna touch up on I was gonna touch up on the fact that you brought up the fact that Andre Ward's not a big light heavyweight, and it's just funny how people push things and the narrative just becomes something as soon as an occurrence occurs. It all started down. I'm a Triple G fan, but I'll be real. I have not heard about Andre Ward looking like a big super middleweight until his name was connected to Triple G. As soon as Triple G said I'll fight anyone from 154 to 168 or 175, it started off, then back down to 168.
Right.
Obviously Andre Ward and Ellis Landilara were the two people that raised their hands. and everyone just started to go off and going. He fought at light heavyweight and in the amateurs, but he was never a big super middleweight at the time. And people don't understand, man, that there's a lot of, and we're talking about every fighter, or just about 70%, 80% of fighters that enter the pro ranks are a lot smaller than what they were in the amateur system, because in the amateur system, they got same day weigh in. You know what I mean? That makes a big difference. You got someone like Sean Porter, who was a middleweight. He made 143, 144 for Adrian Bronner. You know, you got someone like Lomachenko, who was a lightweight, started off his career at 126. When he came to Andre Ward was, you know, he moved up because he didn't want to fight his friend. So he moved up from super middleweight to light heavyweight. The light heavyweight limit there was 178 pounds. And he was weighing in no more than 171. That was his maximum weight. So he was giving up same day weigh-in about 8 pounds to his opponents, fighting a guy 6'6" tall and all this sort of stuff. And no one talked about this until his name got connected with Triple G. I mean, it's outrageous. He is not a big, you know, this, and people also don't know that Andre Ward had about 5 or 6 fights early in his career between 160 to 165. So he didn't even start off at super middleweight. You know, like, but
That's true.
they didn't dig this stuff up until it's something that they need to build up to protect their favorite fighter and keep him away from him. And, you know, he is not a big light heavyweight, you know. Sergey Kovalev, I said, you heard me in the pre-fight that I told you that he said 2 years ago he was struggling to make light heavyweight. And this guy's a career light heavyweight. He didn't want to make the jump for an extra 25 pounds. So he was actually a big light heavyweight fighting a standard size super middleweight. And it is what it is, you know.
Well, it's true, and Ward started. This is a good point. Ward, people don't know, Ward started his career at middleweight. He was a middleweight. He started, and the thing is that he started having early troubles making that weight in his first 10 fights. So that's why he moved up to super middleweight after this. I think after his 10th or 11th pro fight. But the thing is that with this whole Golovkin thing, and you break up a good point, is that the reason why these guys were going after Ward for this, because they knew in their hearts that Ward would have the style that was not tailor made for Golovkin. And he was going to mile Golovkin like he does his other opponents with his pressured athletic technical style. You know what I mean? So and they were trying so hard to keep him away from him, so that's why they were calling him a coward and saying, "You go up and fight Kovalev instead." While Ward was being passive about it at first. And what did he do? He moved up and fought Kovalev. He still can't get credit for that. I'm like, okay, it's like you guys want him to do it. He did it. And you still won't give him credit. And then what did they do? They also said that Golovkin, he ran from Golovkin. Golovkin would have sparked him. I was like, wait a minute, weren't you the guys that
they spin it?
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They spin it. And see what it's like, wait a minute, you guys were trying to pressure him to get away from Golovkin. Then you turn around and said that he ran from Golovkin. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I know, that's exactly right. Yeah, you know what's funny about all this, man? I mean, seriously, like I wanted Triple G to fight Ward, not because I wanted him to lose. Honestly, he was being ducked. I give him that at 160. And you got one opportunity to fight a guy, 8 pounds up your weight class. That's been a career top 3 pound for pound fighter since the Super 6. You know what I mean? And some people even still had him there when he made his comeback, after his long layoff, 2 to 3 years when he had his problems with his promoter. And I just wanted him to fight Andre Ward, seriously, just to give him that legacy name. But the way people twist it is unbelievable. I mean, how do you say, like, they say that, why doesn't he accept 164? I don't understand. When you're calling out someone from 154 to 168, then they offer you 164 when you offered 168 to Chavez Jr., Mikkel Kessler, Carl Froch. Then you use the Andre Ward's inactive excuse. And then they shoot themselves in the foot a year later. Carl Froch was inactive and retired for a year and a half. They called him out again. Carl Froch said, "I can't make it. I won't do it. I can't even make 168 anymore." He goes, "We're willing to go to 170 to 172." So they even stretched it for Carl Froch, but they refused to go anywhere near Andre Ward at 168. I mean, the signs are all there. When you say I want 164, but you're offering everyone else 168 to 172. I mean,
well, they shot they shot themselves in the foot in so many ways in that situation, because when Carl Froch came out and said that I'll fight you at 172, they turned down the fight. They said no, we can't fight you at 172. They turned it down. As people see, the Golovkin fans don't want that to be brought up. That's number one, and number two. When Golovkin turned down catchweight fights with Canelo and Miguel Cotto, why in the world you turn down catchweight fights with those guys, but you're willing to go down to 154 to fight Pacquiao and Mayweather?
Yeah.
He wanted to get those guys in the ring, but he was
You
willing to
say
bring
that
himself to go after those guys.
because yeah, but it's interesting you
Sorry?
say that because I've actually got a link with Tom Loeffler saying it in his own mouth that they're willing to fight Carl Froch at 170. I don't know about the 172 that they turned it down though, but I know they were willing to fight Carl Froch at 170. That's what they verbally said.
Because there was an interview, Carl Froch had Tom Loeffler right there, and he had his arm around his shoulder. He's like, "How much weight can he go up? Because 172 is what I can do." And Tom Loeffler is like, "No, I don't think that's too much for Gennady. He can't do that."
Okay. Interesting.
That was right there. It was a video right there. Carl Froch had it pretty much just chastising Tom Loeffler, put him on the spot. So yeah. So let me get to the comments right here, man. A lot of people are coming in with this.
Absolutely.
Hey, Great Drink 66 says, "What's up, man? What's up, Great Drink? Let me get over to the bottom here, to top to the bottom. Ward isn't near my favorite fighter, but I know he put in work and he's one of the best right now. Absolutely, he goes down as an all-time great, no question about it. If you sum it up, his resume is you could debate that with maybe as far as modern times, maybe you could put it up there with Floyd Mayweather. We'll see. It's a debate. You know, maybe Floyd has a little bit more signature wins." But sometimes you got to look at the quality of the wins. You know, look at the situation, the risk, the risk factors of those fights that the both fighters that engage into. So those things got to get taken into account. So I mean, it's a debate. That's the debate that I'm sure people are going to bring up in the later days. What else is here? Tony Yayu said that Froch is insecure about his legacy. You know what? I don't know if he's insecure about his legacy because Carl Froch already has a legacy. But even some of the greatest fighters have losses that they can't get over, like George Foreman, for example. George Foreman is an all-time great. One of the greatest punchers of all time. A very dominant, four-spin record with heavyweight. But that loss to Muhammad Ali, he could never get over that for many decades. Okay, Foreman did some great things after that loss, but still, he still couldn't get over it. He was still, in some cases, some interviews, was still chastising Ali in a very diplomatic way. He didn't want to do it so vulgar like Carl Froch and Sergey Kovalev is doing to Andre Ward. But yeah, George Foreman couldn't get over that loss until late, maybe until like he really. It's so many years went by, he finally got over it. But it is what it is. Alexander Mayweather, he's laughing his ass off about Kovalev saying that he retired Andre Ward. And Peanut Crocker says, "What are the chances about Stevenson and Kovalev ever happening?" You want to take a stab on that one, man?
What's that? Sorry, Dan. Oh, I was just grabbing some water, man. Sorry about that when you were reading the comments. Were you speaking to me?
It's all good. I was speaking to you. I was going to ask you, Peanut Crackers. Shout out to Peanut Crackers. He say, "What are the chances of Stevenson and Kovalev fight ever happening? Do you think that's going to happen?"
I don't think. No, it's not going to happen at this stage. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
At this stage, I mean, seriously, man. I'll be honest with you, man. Stevenson doesn't need that. I don't want to take credit away from him, and we all gave him credit for the Dawson win, right? But let's be blatantly honest here, okay? He was coming off a devastating loss to Andre Ward. Same thing as Sergey Kovalev is right now. He doesn't need his biggest name. To me, he should be trying to fight the Alvarez fight, which is a great, a fight we can all give credit to, and then try to pursue a Badu Jack. Now, if Kovalev, hopefully, if he can actually look good and beat someone like a Shabransky or, obviously in a Barrera, and he looks like he's the old used to be, that's fine. But at 40 years old, Stevenson, I don't think it's going to do much for him at Kovalev. You know what I mean? Like, you will all be still having question marks and saying what would have happened if it happened 3-4 years ago and whatnot. He doesn't really need that. Stevenson needs to stamp on his legacy. So we can look back and say, okay, his top win is Dawson. He came off a loss. However, now he's got Badu Jack, and then he's got Dawson. Then you start to look at his second-tier opponents, and then you start saying that it's a more impressive resume. You know what I mean? It's same as Triple G. I felt his resume was underrated before he fought someone like Jacobs. But after he fought Jacobs, then we can look back and say, okay, he fought Murray, Daniel Gill, and all that sort of stuff. He starts to look a lot more impressive. So Stevenson needs a fresh, elite level fighter that's in his prime, coming off impressive victories. I think Badu
Right.
Jack is the man that's going to do that for him. You know what I mean? And Alvarez is a great, you know, step in the right direction. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't advise it. Not at his age, chasing the Kovalev
Right.
fight.
Yeah, to be fair, I think Stevenson knows himself that he doesn't have much time left. I think that there are signs given what Alvarez has been stating as of late. Stevenson is not really looking to take on the young lions right now. He's looking for one big fight because he's going around telling everyone that there's no money in the Alvarez fight. He's not trying to make that fight, from what I've been hearing. So he's trying to look for one big fight, and Badu Jack is probably the closest he'll get at light heavyweight at this point. So I think he's trying to cash out at this point. So that could be,
Didn't,
what's up?
didn't the Fonfara rematch do about 275,000 views? You know what I mean?
Right.
I've even, like I'm just saying, man. When someone uses that excuse that this guy doesn't make any money and that guy doesn't do nothing for me, then he's got to find someone that does better. You know what I mean? And I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but I'm pretty sure, we would prefer an Alvarez fight than a Fonfara, and that's just. I mean, call me crazy. That's just the way I feel, especially with the form that Fonfara was coming in there with.
Yeah.
I don't know. I find that
mean,
excuse.
Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying I just find that excuse a bit shady. The money factor. You know what I mean?
It
I
is.
find,
I mean, it is. But like I
and
said, it goes back to
sorry,
the
Dan.
high risk. Go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead, man.
I just
Go ahead,
wanted to
brother.
mention that he's from. Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead, man.
I was just trying to mention also. I forgot to mention that he's Canadian. I mean, do they not have any sort of
Yeah.
rivalry whatsoever in there? And would that not bring more money than a Fonfara fight, a local matchup? It doesn't make sense to me. It does not make sense to me. I'm sorry. Sorry for cutting
Yeah,
you
it
off.
does.
Mention that.
No, it's okay. It's all good, man. And the fact is too, if what I've been hearing, and based off the feedback that Stevenson got in his last fight against Barbara, the Canadians are upset with him. They're angry with him. It's like, dude, you've been 4 years and you're not giving us the fights that we want to see. You can go beyond a low place to go around and say that, well, he's been trying to make fights. Okay, to some degree he is, but he's been playing hardball in the negotiations, and he has to take blame for why these big fights are not happening. Number one. Okay. And number two, at the end of the day, you cannot give him credit when what is not on paper. If he doesn't have that fight on paper, that's his fault. He's got to deal with it. Okay. There was plenty of other fights that he could have made. He could have fought Chilimba. He could have fought Kovalev the first time around before he went over to the other network to make things more difficult to get that fight happening 2 years ago, which we all know that.
And how much HBO invested in Stevenson to try to get him to fight Kovalev. They gave him 3 fights in 7 months to try to promote him to fight Kovalev. I mean, it was set out on the table. And people say, oh, well, he went to Al Heyman, it was the better deal and all that. Let me just give you this picture right here, right? Imagine Andre Ward had that 3-fight contract. He fought Sullivan Barrera, and then he fought Alexandra Brand, and then he says, Al Heyman giving me more money. Imagine that was the case. Imagine the outrage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Andre Ward would have gotten flack for that. Okay, I'm gonna tell you that right now. That's why I was telling Low Place. If that was Andre Ward doing that, would you be going after him? Would you give him the benefit of the doubt like you're giving Stevenson? He was trying to tiptoe that answer. He was like, if a fighter is asking for, asking for what they're worth, I won't call that ducking. I'm like, well, Stevenson wasn't even worth that much. Okay, number one. Number two, he had a very slim resume. What makes him think he was? I'm not trying to tell what a fighter is worth, but it's a slap in the face when you got guys like Bernard Hopkins who took 20% splits against Felix Trinidad, who took a 30% split against while he was a unified champion, took a 30% split against Oscar De La Hoya when he was the lineal undisputed middleweight champion of the world against guys like that, and KO'd him, and look what happened. He put himself in a position where he'd be able to call the shots. Ezra Charles back in the 50s took a lower split, and he was the lineal heavyweight champion of the world, go up against Gus Milanovic. By the way, the same guy who ducked him at light heavyweight still gave him a shot at the title and took a lower split and beat his ass. Okay? So, and Michael Spinks took a lower split when he was a lineal heavyweight champion of the world when he fought Mike Tyson. So, that's a slap in the face to those guys who are all-time greats. Okay? It's Stevenson, who's not even near the level that those guys have done. He's talking about he feels now he's owed the world, please. Yeah. And Red Fox is getting on this. What about the second negotiation? Yeah. Okay, Red Fox, here's the thing. We all know that Stevenson and Kovalev, they both had avoided each other, okay? Stevenson made it impossible for that fight to happen the first time, which he ditched the other network, because he was looking for an easier route to more money and a low risk fight like Hopkins for one. And two, Kovalev ducked 2 purse bids. We all went at Kovalev for that, okay? So I'm not going to use this angle and say, well, at the end of the day, it's Kovalev's fault. No, it's both guys' fault. Why we're in this mess? Why they can't get in the ring with each other? All right. So that's one thing. Let me go to the comment sections here, man. There's a lot of people coming in on this one. Greg Drake has said that saying that he's ducking Stevenson. And Red Fox is saying, well, he should have fought Stevenson, though. Yeah, Red Fox, we wanted to fight Stevenson, but at the same time, I'm going to be realistic here. Andre Ward didn't really need Adonis Stevenson. Adonis Stevenson needed that fight more than anything else in the world. Why do you think he was so desperate to get that fight? And let me tell you why. Because Adonis Stevenson knows he's pretty much on his last leg. He's aging. He's up there. He's trying to cash out. Why do you think he wanted that Ward fight? He was trying to cash out. In reality, Ward didn't really need him. That's the bottom line. And now he's trying to pursue Badou Jack. And now at the same time trying to avoid his mandatory. That's what he's doing. So
just imagine Kell Brook was demanding, Mayweather for the 49th fight when he was, for being undisputed. I mean, it's outrageous. People don't get it. And unfortunately, Low Place, he holds the lineal title a little bit too much value, a little bit too much value.
Right, he does, and I pointed to him. Just because you're a lineal champion doesn't mean you get to always call the shots. Number one, all right, and number two, that doesn't mean you're the king. It gives you a ranking. It gives you a ranking as a top guy, but at the end of the day, it doesn't make you king of the division. I mean, I could go back in history. I could name many lineal champions, the worst lineal champions of all time. I could go all the way back to Jess Willard. I could go all the way back to Primo Carnera. I could go all the way back to Carlos Baldomir, the modern time Carlos Baldomir, Stevie Little. I mean, come on, man. Just because you a lineal champion don't mean shit, okay? Until you start beating top competition, you are the man. You're the guy.
I mean, even the ring magazine stripped him. You know what I mean? For not fighting any top 5 opponents for 2 years. You know what I mean? Like the lineal title, unfortunately, can be held hostage, and you can fight anyone you want. I'm talking about a guy with a 5-300 record. And you can still be lineal champion. There is no rules whatsoever. I mean, I gave up on it. Like I said, I've mentioned this heaps of times, but 3 years ago, just the way people were playing around with Triple G. And I'm not saying he should have been the lineal champion, but he should at least have the opportunity. You know what I mean? And the way Sergio Martinez, was defending it against Cotto at 159. Then Cotto gave Daniel Gill an opportunity to be the lineal champion at 157. Then he passed it on to Canelo at 155. Then Canelo's defending it, I believe, against Amir Khan before he ended up getting stripped. But then he doesn't even fight at 160, not have 160 fight in his career. And he comes into this fight against Triple G as the lineal champion. Like, I mean, it's just disgusting, man. And I mean, the same thing with Adonis Stevenson. I mean, is he really the man when, he's fighting all these guys that we scratch our heads every time he announces them? That's not fair. And the same thing, I agree with Jeff Horn. I mean, I'm an Australian. I'd love to say this guy's a lineal champion and he's the man at 147, but we all know that's bullshit. I'll struggle to say he's a top 5 welterweight. Now, if Bob Arum is the one that's going to hold him to the WBO standings and, corrupt the rankings and whatnot, and only give chances to people in his local stable, and they just keep passing it on, and you're just going to ignore Spence and Thurman, and Spence and Thurman are fighting each other, and Porter and Danny Garcia and all the top guys, but the WBO is just standing together and fighting each other. Are you going to say that Jeff Horn's forever going to be the champion? I find this thing, it's just it's astonishing to me that there's no rules for the lineal championship. I'm glad the Ring magazine stripped him, but the lineal title, you can do whatever you want with it. You grab it, you fight whoever the hell you want, as long as you don't retire. And I find that a little bit funny,
I agree. Just like with Tyson Fury, man, it's like the dude's either retired or he's not retired, but he's still the lineal champion at heavyweight, and he hasn't fought in 2 years. and it's
Yeah.
outright disgusting. And let me get to the comment section because B Marsh, what's up, B Marsh, man? He brought up a good point about another guy named Zoe Eardy from light heavyweight. Yeah, I remember Zoe Eardy. That guy was probably one of the worst lineal champions I've ever seen at light heavyweight. One of the worst I've ever seen. I don't know how this guy even. I know he beat Julio Cesar, Gonzalez after he beat what you call it, a disputed decision over what's his name, over Darius Michael Zuski. But yeah, after he won that title, this dude was defending it against a bunch of nobodies. I'm like, Jesus Christ. You see what I mean? you know, beat a overshot Brian Mitchell. Yeah, I remember that, man. Jesus Christ. Let me see what else have we got here in the comment section. Grape Drink said that. Actually, before I get into that one, he said, Dan and MBT, Hawkins' resumes or Floyd Mayweather's resume. Who do you pick? Oh man, that's a good one, man. Alexander Mayweather, that's a good one. I mean,
I don't
Hopkins
think so.
does have a lot of.
I think B Hop
What's up?
comfortably, to be honest with you. Me personally. I think B Hop
Yeah, I would. Go ahead.
just
Go ahead.
because of the way, just because of his reign at middleweight, man, and then moving up to light heavyweight. I find that a little bit more, and then he's also, don't forget, he skipped super middleweight. So I don't know,
Yeah, he
man.
did.
Just longevity, and overall names, and I would give it to B Hop personally. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I would because the guy had over 23. He holds a record for most consecutive title defenses. He unified that
Mhm.
division. He cleaned out all the best there. He went up to light heavy, like you said, moved up 2 weight classes, beat a lot of great elite names at light heavyweight as well. So yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, yeah, I would say I favor Hopkins over Floyd, and even though I criticize Floyd, but I do respect what he did. I respect the names that he beat. But it is debatable. His resume is debatable. I put it.
Oh, I'm
I mean,
sorry.
Evander Holyfield.
Oh,
I'm saying
my
Evander Holyfield's resume. What?
My
What?
bad, Dan. Honestly, I thought you were comparing B Hop to Ward. I wasn't reading the comment. I just heard you. I heard you say Ward. Sorry.
No, Floyd. It's all right, man. Hey, it's Floyd. Hey, if you want to change your mind, that's cool. I split.
No, I need to rethink about that. But for me, B Hop and Ward, I found a little bit easier for me. It's not like by a mile, but I find B Hop overall. When it comes to Floyd Mayweather, oh geez, to be honest with you, just being biased.
Yeah.
Just Yeah, just because I'm being biased, when I don't even need to think about it, it is close. Technically, it is close. I'll still just give it to B Hop by a hair. I mean, I'm the kind of guy, man, where it's not like I was never a Mayweather hater. I used to love him to death. You know what I mean? I used to love watching his fights, always
Yeah.
entertaining press conferences and all that sort of stuff. The 24 hours. I mean, he made boxing something different. I really, it was more entertaining outside his fights than it was, inside. But it is what it is. But as
Yeah.
far as his resume, it's unbelievable. But it's just, I remember when I used to follow Floyd Mayweather, especially during his 6-fight contract. I
Yeah.
mean, I used to just, you look at it on pen and paper when it's over Raw, and there's some great names down there. But for me, I used to remember that every second fight, I used to say I would have preferred for him to fight 3 or 4 other guys. And Bernard Hopkins, especially at the middleweight run, even though it wasn't a stacked division, he did not want to surrender his belt. So for me, I respect that. You know what I mean? Like, I
Right.
really respect that. What B Hop did at middleweight, Vladimir Klitschko done it at heavyweight. That sort of stuff I respect. And the fact that they fought often, they fought more than twice a year so they can maintain the belts. And these guys don't
Right.
understand today, if you want to be undisputed champion, you need to fight
Right.
3, 4, hopefully even 5 times a year, you know what I mean, to maintain your belts, especially with the 4 belts and the 4 sanctioning bodies, you know what I mean? So just
Right.
activity from B Hop and the fact that he respected the belts instead of the names, I would slightly
Yeah.
give it to B Hop personally. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a debatable one. I mean, hey, it'd be better if you said Evander Holyfield because that resume is very hard to compete against.
Hmm.
Evander Holyfield has probably the best resume on modern times, and that is no question about it. You see what the man
Hmm.
did in his earliest career, who he beat, and the guys he fought. Okay, compare that one to Floyd. I'm giving Evander the edge on that one.
Hmm.
Okay, so yeah,
Yeah.
we could say Evander Holyfield. I mean, that's a resume you cannot compete against. But anyways, let me go ahead into the comment section here. Let me see. Red Fox says I lost a young hurt on him too. He's talking about George Foreman. Yeah, he couldn't get over those losses in his early career in the 70s. The Ali loss, had tried to move on from it. Yeah, I did talk about that. Great Drake said that my boxing coach told me that he knew Stevenson in the amateurs and he was ducking a lot of people back in the amateurs. Oh, really? Great Drake? Really? Who did Stevenson duck in the amateurs? I'm curious to know about that.
Great Drake.
Yeah. Don't get your low place on this one because low place gonna get really up to tight on that.
Oh god.
Hey, yeah, hey, great Drake, yeah. Let me know, man. Put it in the comment section. Who did he avoid at in the amateurs? Because I'm curious to know about that. Let me see. Red Fox is like ducking the amateurs. Okay, he doesn't believe that. All right, let me see what else it said. 122245529 says that it's sad how mean spirited that people are about Ward. He had a great career. I salute him and wish him the very best in his future endeavors. I mean, absolutely. Absolutely, man. I mean, the man fought the guys that you guys wanted to fight, and he did it. He goes out on top, undefeated, pound for pound #1. What more do you want him to do? Yes, I wish he could have fought Stevenson, but at the same time, let's be fair. He had a longer, tougher career than Adonis Stevenson. He went through the fucking gauntlet, and Stevenson didn't even do it. All right, and that's why I get upset when people try to say that Stevenson should be pound #1 over Ward. I mean, what has he done, man? Jesus Christ! Other than beat a Ward leftover. What's up?
Is it whose people? It's just one. It's just a
Well,
person.
there's a couple people. Yeah,
Really?
or two in the one. Blackberry. You know, we all know who he is.
Yeah, that's like saying Superman and Clark Kent. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Superman.
I mean,
Thomas Stevenson. Anyway.
yeah, the dude came on my channel. He was pissed that Ward retired. He called him a sucker and a pussy for retiring. I'm like, oh, okay, you know what?
Blackberry?
Yeah, Blackberry said it. Yeah, he went off.
Oh,
I'm like, okay. Yeah, he went off. I'm like, you know what? Well, I told him, it's like, well, Ward's retired. Get over it. Your guy's still fighting. Let him. Now he's got to put in some work. If he doesn't want to do it, then shut the fuck up.
Hopefully,
you know. So,
hopefully he drops another video with a little bit more of an angry computer voice. That'll be funny to listen to.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that'd be laughter, man. I mean, that'd be so much laughter. But anyways, yeah, man. Let me see. Let me go down to the comment section. Yeah, B Marsh, man. Yeah, what's his name? Yeah, Zoltz already was definitely the worst lineal at light heavyweight. No question about it. I mean, his guy was just padding his resume against a bunch of nobodies. I mean, Jesus Christ. And he had that lineal title for 5 years and the WBO title, by the way. I mean, that was a disgraceful run as a champion. That's why this is why he's never been brought up. Okay, nobody doesn't even know who Zoe Erdy is. Okay, I bet you. I'm not sure if you knew who he was. NBT Zoe Erdy.
I heard of him, not completely, broken down.
Exactly, because he fought a bunch of nobodies when he was a lineal champion and alphabet older. Okay, and this same thing could happen to Adonis Stevenson. Yes, he'll be, only remembered from fighting Jad Dawson, but who else did he fight? Okay, so I mean, Adonis Stevenson could up there go down there. Yeah, B Marsh knows his stuff, man. He knows his boxing, man. He knows his history.
I'm telling you, he brings some stuff up. I'm like,
yeah,
crazy.
Okay, yeah, that is crazy.
There, brother.
Yeah, I hear you. So 1224529 said that Chad Dawson stated that Andre Ward was the best fighter he's ever fought. Really? I didn't know Chad Dawson said that. But hey, that's cool. Red Fox says that the fighter has to make the lineal title. That is true, Red Fox, but at the same time, there is no rule that strips the fighter, which MBT have pointed out perfectly. You could be the lineal champion. You could fight guys who are like 2-14, 2-30, and still keep the lineal title. You could go inactive for like 3 or 4 years and still be the lineal champion, as long as you don't retire. And I think that.
Yeah.
Right. If the Ring Magazine has a rule about defending your title, just like all the alphabet bodies, then the lineal championship should have that type of standard as well. Because I don't like to see guys be lineal champions and fight against a bunch of nobodies like Zolt Orty did when he was lineal light heavyweight champion. So Grape. Let me see. B-Mar said I say Floyd's resume over B-Hop. I mean, look, it's a fair argument. It's debatable, but I kind of slightly favor Hopkins over Floyd. But obviously, we can do that breakdown. But later down, Great Drake says that Hopkins' wins are more iconic, but Floyd has better wins. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's debatable. It's debatable. It's debatable. Hopkins has great wins at advanced age, but I'll go with Floyd personally on resume. Well, him and Drake, Great Drake are going back and forth about it. Red Fox, let me see. We can talk about the Floyd Hopkins debate. Yeah, B. Marsh agrees with me. I'll give Holyfield the edge over Floyd too. Undersized heavyweight. Thank you. Yeah, Evander fought guys who were like outweighed him, outgunned him, had the reach power advantage over guys at heavyweight, like 40, 50 plus pounds. He was fighting guys had over 80-inch power reaches and shit. You know what I mean? This dude was fighting killers at his time, and he was able to overcome it. That's how great Evander was. So let me see. Did somebody just send me a message? Hold on. Was that you, MBT?
No. I didn't send a message.
Okay, that was something else. All right, that's something else. All right, it is what it is. But yeah, let me go back to the comment section real quickly. The leftovers wasn't drained though. All right, that's another thing I got to talk about. I got to talk about this real quickly. Do you keep hearing that Andre Ward allegedly trained Jad Dawson? Do you keep hearing that story?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh my goodness! I don't know how many times we gotta go through this. It was Chad Dawson who said he'll go down to 168 to fight Andre Ward. It was Chad Dawson who called out Andre Ward.
Fight Critic still has that video up there, and he kept replaying it. I'll fight Andre Ward at 168. I want Andre Ward. I'll fight him at 168. I want Andre Ward. I'll fight him at 168. But they still don't get it. And look, like to give my honest assessment, the way he handled Andre Ward, like maybe now I'll second guess it because of the way he handled Kovalev in the rematch. But the way he handled Chad Dawson, at that time, I thought Chad Dawson was great. That's my honest opinion. But Chad Dawson, I mean, he called him out at 168. People always say, why didn't Andre Ward move up to, even a catchweight to become the lineal champion or the light heavyweight champion and meet him at a catchweight at least and become that and become a two-weight champion? But they don't never look at it on the other end of the scale. What about Chad Dawson? Right. Do you not think he might have called him at 168? So because don't forget the WBC and the WBA was up for grabs. So he gave Chad Dawson an opportunity to be a two-weight world champion also. So that is the reason why he also came out down there at 168, because Chad Dawson had about 17, 18 fights at middleweight. He went up to super middleweight, had about 4 or 5 fights, and then he became successful at light heavyweight. He was never a champion at middleweight, super middleweight, and he fought most of his fights at both of those weight classes before he ended up fighting Andre Ward. And it's like I keep mentioning, people got to do their research. This is why he believed that he could make the 168 division, because he made most of his career at middleweight. He fought most of his fights at middleweight, not super middleweight, at middleweight. So he said, I can easily do it at 168. Was he drained? It's up for debate. In my opinion, he was, but it's not that Andre Ward drained him. I mean, you call out the guy to fight him at 168. If there's no titles on the line, then yes, I would say that he got drained, but there was something to offer for Chad Dawson for coming down there. And like I said, he fought most of his fights at middleweight. So,
Right, he got a big payday for that, did he not? So, I mean, Chad Dawson got a big payday for that.
I don't believe he did. I believe he got about 700,000. I could be wrong, but I remember it being 700,000. He wanted them more for legacy. He knew Andre Ward was the number 2 pound fighter. Chad Dawson was number 10 at that current moment. There were some publications it was a number 8 and 9, but in Ring Magazine officially, the one that they used to use as the Bible of boxing, he was number 10. So he knew beating Andre Ward would jump him straight down to number 2. When you got 2 guys fighting in the top 10 pound for pound rankings, if you're ranked like 50th and you beat a guy that's 6, you'll be lucky to get into the top 10. But if you got 2 guys fighting that are currently in the top 10 pound for pound list, you automatically take the other guy's spot. If not, you even improve more because you beat another pound for pound fighter. So Chad Dawson really wanted Andre Ward, and you offered him at 168. You can debate that he was drained, but you cannot debate that Andre Ward drained him because he called him out. It wasn't Andre Ward that called him out. It was Chad Dawson that called him out and says, I would like to fight him at 168. You know what I mean? And
Right,
if there was
exactly. Andre Ward, I mean, Chad Dawson wasn't even on Andre Ward's radar. And this is what I tell these people. He's not the guy. He didn't pursue Chad Dawson. It was Chad Dawson who was pursuing him. Number one. And number two, Chad Dawson, it wasn't even a big light heavyweight. He was a small light heavyweight. So that is a good point that you brought up because he fought most of his career at middleweight, took a few fights at super middleweight, moved up to 175. So he probably thought he could get down to 168, and he has no problem with his skills and his attributes. But that was
forced
proven wrong.
Up to 175 because of the legends there. He really wanted the guys like Hopkins, the Antonio Tava. It was a stacked division back then. He literally moved himself up there to get the names on his resume. He didn't know that it was stacked. But once Andre Ward won the Super 6, it was a great legacy feat that he could snatch it off him, and he believed he can still make that weight. Like I said, it's all up to debate. But yeah, and
I mean, Red Fox is kind of like having a little, he's kind of, it's honest debate. He's saying, look, prior to the Ward fight, Dawson last fought at 168 back in 2006. That may be true, Red Fox. That may be true. But the fact is that he was not a big light heavyweight. Maybe his weight stabilized at 175, but he still made that weight very comfortably. If he wanted to, he could have gone down below 175 at a catchweight. Chad Dawson felt that he could make that weight, even though given the fact that he was not a big guy, he felt that he can make it, and the fact that he was able to go ahead and have his attributes intact going down to 168. That was his choice that he made, not Andre Ward. Andre Ward did not drain him as people allege that he did. So he has himself to blame for that situation, okay? So that's why I don't understand the hypocrisy here when it comes to guys allegedly draining other guys. Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he was comfortable at 175, but he was not a big 175-pound guy. What I mean by that is that he moved down to 168, believing he'll be comfortable there as well, but he was proven wrong. That was his fault, okay? But Andre Ward.
Sorry, let me just ask a quick question. So, we got Manny Pacquiao, who's allegedly.
I was going to get to that.
Yeah,
I was going to get.
Allegedly,
I was going to.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure, go for it.
Yeah, I was going to get into that because I don't understand why Andre Ward's getting flack for allegedly training Chad Dawson. Because Manny Pacquiao made a career moving up in weight and draining guys at catchweights for world title fights, but he gets no criticism for that. But Andre Ward gets one fight where the 175-pound champion said that he was going to go down to 168 to fight the guy, called him out, but Andre Ward gets flack for that. That makes no sense. So, I wasn't
going to really take it there, to be honest with you. I've got like a love-hate relationship with Manny Pacquiao. I'm cool with him, and I agree with you. But I also do believe he's a very small guy. At least the catchweights kind of meet in the middle, even though I hate him to death. I hate the catchweights. But I was just going to ask, like, let's say hypothetically, Manny Pacquiao's been a career, apparently extremely small, 147 fighter, for the last 6 years or 7 years or so. If he was supposed to fight Terence Crawford and went down to 140, would you, and Manny Pacquiao is saying that I'm a small welterweight and I can still make 135 if I wanted to. And if Terence Crawford fight happened at 140, would Manny Pacquiao end up being drained? You know what I mean? Like,
that's a good question. That's a good point.
You know what I mean? Like, it's exactly the same scenario. And, if some guy is saying I'm a small this size, and then all of a sudden he says, okay, I can make this weight, and then he makes it, and then you're going to say that, oh, he was drained, and then people are hyping up that he's a small, light heavyweight, a small welterweight, and then he goes down to junior welterweight, and all of a sudden we're going to say he's drained. I mean, like, at the end of the day, like I said, I believe he is drained, but it's exactly like he said. This has happened in so many other, and it's only one fight. I mean, this is the only fight that we ever have a dispute for. Obviously, you got the people that's going to say, dirty tactics or whatever the case is. But I'm talking about as far as his entire career, all his elite level opposition, which is 4 of them, and 5 of them if you want to count Kovalev twice, and all his extremely good second-tier opponents, the Abrahams, the Alan Greens, all that good stuff, the Sullivan Barrera, all that sort of good stuff. How many people right now, like you can say, even the Floyd Mayweather, the Manny Pacquiao, you can say every single one of them was in their prime. I mean, how many of
Right.
them? I can go through Floyd's resume. I can even go through Manny Pacquiao's resume. How many of them can you say that they were still in their prime? And it's only one person that he came down in weight class that he called him out for, and then he's all of a sudden drained. And that, like, it's just nitpicking. It's nitpicking. It's gonna, they're trying to stick with that, and I don't know, man. It's just it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well,
Manny Pacquiao,
yeah.
man. I'm sorry, but he's had about 5 or 6 that I can think of.
Yeah.
And
He's got a lot. He's got more than a handful of fights at championship fights at catchweight. And Red Fox, to your point, I was going to address Red Fox about this. He's saying that, oh, you saying Pacquiao didn't get criticism for that? Back in the day, he was shit on for that. I was like, yes. What I'm saying, he was shit on for that. But the fact is, I'm talking about the Pacquiao fans who are Ward detractors, who criticize Ward for allegedly training Jad Dawson, won't give him credit for that win, are the same guys who are Pacquiao fans who are giving him full credit for his wins at catchweights. That's what I was talking about, Red Fox. This is where the hypocrisy comes in. That's what I was referring to.
I just want to ask Red Fox, though, if you don't count the Dawson win, do you not count Oscar De La Hoya, Miguel Cotto, and even
Yeah,
Margarita? Do you not
yeah, I gotta
count all
ask
of
him.
that? If we're gonna do all that, then in my opinion, I'm sorry, I've always said Manny Pacquiao is greater than Ward, but if we're gonna do that, then Ward's greater than Manny Pacquiao. I mean, if we're gonna subtract and add, you know what I mean? I think if that's the only one, and I can subtract about 4 or 5 of Manny Pacquiao's career, then in my opinion, Ward's a greater fighter than Manny Pacquiao. And it's not the case. On pen and paper, they beat Dawson, they beat Oscar De La Hoya, who was a favorite, they beat Miguel Cotto, was a 50-50 fight. And, you take credit for what is due, you know what I mean? As far as not giving credit altogether, you can't nitpick. You got to go through everyone's career,
Right.
and start subtracting.
Exactly. And Red Fox, you say you don't give Pacquiao credit for the win against Oscar De La Hoya. Okay, what about Marquez in the third fight when he got him at a catchweight? What about a Margarito at 150? What about Claudia at 144? Cotto at 144? Do you give him credit for those wins? Red Fox, come on, answer the question, man. So if you're not going to give Ward no credit for the win against Dawson because he was drained, you just said that you don't give Pacquiao credit for the De La Hoya win. What about Cotto? What about Clottey? What about Margarito? What about Morales? Do you give him credit for those wins? Well, I'll give him a minute to respond.
Won't take more than a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, well,
like you can have your own criteria. You can have your own criteria as a fan, but you just got to make sure you don't shoot yourself in the foot when you got a fighter to defend. You know what I mean? Like I can honestly
Right.
say, I believe Dawson was drained, but he still gets full credit because the fight got made. The fight got made, and on top of that, Ward didn't call him out. You can't, like, I'm sick of making fights and people come in with this 50-50 feel, and then when they don't get the result they want, he was drained, he didn't train properly. It's always something. And I'm going to make this very clear when I make my Lomachenko and Guillermo Rigondeaux video. I'm a fan of both fighters, but before this fight, was announced, people were talking about, Lomachenko's ducking Rigondeaux, and he doesn't want to fight a smaller man. And the other half of the people really wanted this fight. And as soon as the fight got signed, it's just like, you better not lose to a guy 2 weight divisions below. And I'm like, no, you're not going to play that here, because I'm not going to let that happen in the future, man. Because the same thing happens with Dawson, same thing happens with Manny Pacquiao and all that sort of stuff. Even Floyd Mayweather. That they go into 50-50 fights. People don't get their prediction right, and then all of a sudden, he fought a smaller guy, he fought a drained guy. Stick to your prediction before the fight. Was Oscar De La Hoya not a favorite against Manny Pacquiao? So, he was. He deserves credit for it. It's as simple as that. Was Chad Dawson only a $2.20 underdog, which is literally, we're talking less than 55-45 going in there. He was not supposed to obliterate him like that. You know what I mean? So he deserves credit. Just because the result wasn't what you're looking for, you can't just take credit away. You just say that, you're not going to give him credit at least before the fight occurs. So, I don't know, man.
No. You make a good point, because me and Dream Chaser were talking about that too in my last hangout. Because Dream Chaser's like, look, man, if Lomachenko wins that fight, I'm giving him full credit. We will. We actually are favoring him to win that fight slightly. Me and Dream Chaser, we're DCB. We're favoring him to win it, and by slight margins. But there's some people who disagree, and me and Dream Chaser told those guys, hey, look, if Lomachenko wins, we got to give him full credit for that fight. No excuses.
Exactly.
We got to give him full credit for it. Because Rigondeaux is a pound-for-pound fighter. So go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is not Amir Khan versus Canelo Alvarez. This is not Kell Brook versus Triple G, where they just made these fights and we said, whatever. We might as well support these guys. This is a fight everyone was asking for before he got signed. And the same thing with the Chad Dawson and Andre Ward fight. Saying this is a super fight. This was a super fight. This was the potential fight of the year. And because they didn't get the result they were looking for, the credit disappears. And it's just like, what's the point of making these fights? I'm trying to understand. It doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? It's just like, that's why I'm bringing up a fight like, currently that's happening. I'm not going to go through all this and not give Lomachenko credit if he beats Guillermo Rigondeaux. Would it be more monumental if Rigondeaux was to pull it off because he's going up 2 weight classes? Absolutely. But if Lomachenko loses to Guillermo Rigondeaux, he's going to have to live for the rest of his life and say, I wasn't the best Olympian. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so he's taking a risk. You know what I mean? And I mean, and that's why I give credit to Manny Pacquiao. I don't like the catch weights, but I give credit because at the end of the day, I remember the general public was saying Oscar De La Hoya was a favorite. A lot of people were expecting him to kill Manny Pacquiao. Doesn't matter about doesn't matter how weak he was. A lot of people were expecting him to kill. I'm not going to take away credit for him. Same thing with the Miguel Cotto fight. It was like a 55-45 fight. A lot of people were picking Miguel Cotto. Just because he obliterated him, it doesn't mean I'm not going to give him credit because that's not the fight that we were expecting.
Right.
So we've got to stop asking for these fights. And just because we don't like the results, we have to discredit one person. It should never work like that. Then what's the point of making these fights? Because I remember this fight, Andre Ward versus Chad Dawson. It was split down the middle between fans. Chad Dawson was on top of the world. People said that he's the bigger man. They're meeting up in, at the 168, but he can make it comfortably because he fought at 160 and all that sort of stuff. And then it was just a dominant performance. And no, we're not give credit. Then why make this fight in the first place? Well, I don't understand why we make it in the first place.
Right, I agree. And the thing is, being about the De La Hoya situation, I thought De La Hoya was going to win that fight, even though he was going down a weight class he hadn't fought there in 8 years or something like that, or 7 years. I mean, of course, you would expect some type of most of his skills to be affected, but I mean, he was fighting a guy who's way smaller than him, who can easily make 135, but he's going up 2 weight classes. So I would expect Oscar to overpower him, but that didn't happen. So, I mean, Pacquiao just blinded him and, hit him with a barrage of punches, gave him all different angles, confused Oscar De La Hoya. He looked a lot slow, very drained, obviously. But the fact is that I give Pacquiao credit for that win because he was an underdog. He was a big underdog, so we can't take that away from him. But, again, to your point, it's like, if you're going to give one fighter credit for something like that, fighting a guy who was allegedly drained, even though that guy chose to go down there to fight him, then why can't you apply that to Andre Ward and Chad Dawson? Double standard. It's a double standard. And we got to stop this, as you say. You don't want to shoot yourselves in the foot.
That's all I'm saying. If you like guys coming down in weight classes, that's fine. But we just got to find out which fighter do you like. And, okay, fair enough. Your fighter has never brought down anyone from a weight class. And if that's the case, and hey, I respect your criteria as a boxing fan. But if you're a Manny Pacquiao fan or even a Floyd Mayweather fan, with the Marquez situation, bringing him up and not making the catch weight, and the Canelo Alvarez fight, even though it was only 2 pounds, a lot of people believe. If you're that kind of person, then criticizing Andre Ward for Chad Dawson, we got to start substituting something from your guys' resume. That's all I'm trying to say. So if you got that criteria, make sure your fighter doesn't, because you're going to shoot yourself in the foot.
Absolutely. Well, Red Fox is saying, well, I can't give Pacquiao credit for that win against De La Hoya because it was such a disadvantage. He said he was already past his prime. I get that, Red Fox, but mind you, Pacquiao has lost against guys who were past their primes too, like Eric Morales in the first fight. Eric Morales wasn't his best when he fought Pacquiao when their first fight, but he beat him. So at the same time, Oscar De La Hoya was a significant favorite to beat the guy. So you got to give Pacquiao credit in that area for being an underdog. But it's your opinion, man. It's your opinion, but you have to look at those other factors as well. So yeah, let me see what Red Fox is saying. Yeah, Red Fox is lined up in my comment section, draining him. But hey, he's a level-headed guy, man. Hey,
He's
NBT, I'm gonna
dominating the
feedback.
comment section like Chad Dawson got done to Andre Ward.
Yeah, he's saying here that draining him made it even worse. I don't like the Floyd Canelo catchweight either. Floyd fought 154 two times prior to Canelo, so a catchweight made no sense. I agree with you on that, man. But based off the significance of that fight, as much as I don't like Floyd Mayweather, I give him credit for that win because he fought a guy in his prime, at his best, Canelo Alvarez. So I gave him credit for that. I didn't like the catchweight either, but I still got to give him credit to some degree for it. So, yeah, what do you think about that, NBT, about the Floyd and Canelo fight at the catchweight?
I agree with Red Fox on that one. Just for the fact that he has fought at 154 before against Oscar De La Hoya and Cotto. But see, this is where it's just tough, man, because once you become more bigger star, you start to become demanding and all that sort of stuff. And look, man, to me, it's all about how you felt the fight was going to play out. If you thought it was going to be a 50-50 fight, you have to take the fact that the extra 2 pounds was coming down. You have to take that into fact. You know what I mean? You can't say that, he's going to make that weight. It's the same thing with the Kell Brook fight. Anyone I made sure before that Kell Brook and Errol Spence fight happened, are you guys going to use the fact that he just came back down from 160 to fight Errol Spence? Let me know now. I don't want to hear the excuses later. And all the UK guys, the majority of them on my channel, Dan the Man, DCB, excuse me, they came back and gave Errol Spence full credit. You know what I mean? If they thought the weight was going to affect it, you got to say it before the fight. So to me, like I said, it's just all about that. How you view the fight. You know what I mean? If you think it's this is why I don't like catch weights, man. It just does not make sense to me whatsoever. You have to understand that, like, we had 17 weight classes. And the reason why, we had 8 weight classes, and the reason why we built into 17 weight classes is those are designed to be catch weights. The super and the light weight classes, those are all designed to be already catch weights. So when you catch weight, when you're doing a catch weight on top of that, you're catch weighting already existing catch weight. Like, it is what it is. All these super lights, all that sort of stuff, they were all designed to eliminate catch weights, and we're still doing it today. So it will be great if we can just get rid of it. You know what I mean? It will be great, especially in the meaningful fights. You know what I mean? But I mean, there is great areas in there, man. There is great areas. It's frustrating. It's really frustrating.
Yeah, I agree with that too, because back in the day, when you're moving up, it was only 8 weight classes. You had the featherweights, then you have super featherweight, then you have lightweight after super featherweight, then you have welterweight after lightweight, and then welterweight it was middleweight. So that's why you had those great middleweights and welterweight rivalries over decades and centuries. And then after that, after middleweight, you had light heavyweight. After light heavyweight, you had heavyweight. So that's about 8 weight classes right there. So back in those days, you have to also take into account same-day weigh-ins. There were no rehydrations back then, for the most part, back in the past. Like Sugar Ray Robinson. Sugar Ray Robinson, when he fought at middleweight, the dude barely weighed 160 pounds fighting at middleweight. And he was beating guys significantly bigger than him. So he even took on Joey Maxim at 100, for the light heavyweight title. He was 157 pounds, and Joey Maxim was well over 175 or within 175 range. Took him on when he was 80 pounds disadvantage, even though he lost that fight. But he was beating Maxim early on. He retired on a stool because of heat exhaustion, but it is what it is. But yeah, man, I understand what you're saying, dude. It's like all these super weight classes, these light middleweight classes. I know somebody had said that they were designed to give fighters who didn't have so much of an advantage going up in weight to take on bigger guys. It was designed to make it even, so that way they can give them a chance to compete and do weight classes and build legacies in the weight classes. I get that argument to some degree, but at the same time, to your point, it was designed to kind of make it look like there's a catchweight classes if you think about it. It's a
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, dude. One thing I do agree with great drinks about these catchweights. World titles should not be fought at catchweights. I agree.
Absolutely.
I don't think they should not be fought at catchweight for world titles.
That's what I mean.
Catchweight,
Significant fights, any significant fights whatsoever. We're talking about things
right?
we're going to talk about. Like I don't mind like a Andre Ward versus Paul Smith. You know what I mean? All that sort of stuff. No titles on the line. Who cares? Whatever. You know what I mean? If you're going to have, I don't know. Even if David Hay, seriously, I wouldn't even be mad at it if they had David Hay and Tony Bellew fight at a heavyweight catchweight. You know what I mean? I don't even care about that. You know what I mean? It's just,
Right.
yeah, if it's a money grab fight, go for it. You know what I mean? If it's a legacy fight, we're going to put it on the history books and say this was a title defense, this was a unification, and all of a sudden we've got a catchweight next to it. It would be great to eliminate it, in my opinion. But, I've been through this frustration stage where boxing starts to develop and I start to get frustrated. Then 3-4 years later, I just start to adjust to it and I just take it for what it's worth. And I might do that within another year or two. But in my opinion, I prefer to get rid of these catchweights. You know what I mean? Like, because, yeah, to me, 8 pounds, especially these little guys, man. I'm sorry. I saw B. Marsham make a comment earlier talking about, but Floyd Mayweather went up 5 weight classes. And same thing with Manny Pacquiao. I mean, with
Right.
eight weight classes, you know what I mean, when he became a champion, even though we questioned 2, but let's just say it's 8 in general. It's not the same as these guys going up from middleweight to light heavyweight. That's not the same 2 weight classes. I'm sorry, man. 3 pounds is disgusting. Like, it is disgusting. I put 3 pounds on while my meal is in the oven. By the time I grab 2 peanuts and a half a chocolate bar, I've already freaking put 3 pounds on. What the hell is 3 pounds? I'm not understanding. It's way too low to, and blood boxing also brought this up too. And he made a video about that, how you've got like 12 world champions within a 10-pound weight difference. You know what I mean? 12 world champions it's just too low. I don't know how you can already see it being that low and then people are already using catch weights on top of that. And it's like you mentioned, just the fact that these guys are going up before 15 pounds, 20 pounds between weight classes. Now they're catch weighting divisions where they're only 6 pounds apart.
Right.
Man,
That's disgusting, man. It is.
yeah.
I just don't understand it. And you got guys are griping over 2 pounds. Like you got. I'll give you an example. You got. Well, let me see. You got the. Let me see. You got the super bantamweight division, and you got the junior bantamweight division. I mean, you got the bantamweight and the junior bantamweight division. You know the weight class, the weight difference between those 2 divisions are
6?
no, it's 3 pounds. Only 3.
Oh,
And
I thought you meant. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
That's okay. Junior bantamweight and then bantamweight. And the fact is, you may get some guys in there who, like, you got the champion at 115, you got the champion at 118. The champion at 115 is like, well, we'll fight, but we got to meet at 116 or 117 for your title. I'm like, what the fuck? Why can't you go up 3 pounds?
Yeah. I know. It does not make sense whatsoever. It really doesn't. Oh my gosh. 3 pounds.
Right.
I mean, look, I'm not gonna be, I'm not gonna be that like crazy to say that they should be 8 pounds, like say the middleweight to super middleweight, because it doesn't really work like that, because your body's built with certain amount of body fat percentage and whatnot. So it's not supposed to be designed like that. So it's kind of like, look, there's a starting weight. Say you go to a gym and you got a bar, and that's a 20-pound starting weight. And then after that, what matters is the plates you put in. So you got to ignore the starting weight. And the starting weight in boxing is 100 pounds. And then once you start to put plates, the more you put on, it should be spread out a little bit more, but not 7-8 pounds like 140 to 147 and 160 to 168. But the little guys are only 3 to 4 pounds. That's way too low. You should be somewhere between 5 to 6 pounds for the little guys. So they should be congesting those weight classes, 2 of them into 1. You know what I mean? And then, when you get into a higher weight class, you should be going up 7, 8, 12 and whatnot. And also the cruiserweight division, I don't really like. I think they should have a light heavyweight division at 175. Then from 175, make a cruiserweight division from 176 to 190. and then 190 to 215 they should have a heavyweight division,
Right.
and then 215 plus they should have super heavyweight. You know what I mean? So that's the only thing they should do is reduce the smaller weight classes and increase an extra weight class in between the light heavyweight to heavyweight division, and make a more suitable division for guys that are smaller heavyweights. You know what I mean?
Right.
Kind of like the amateurs go, you know?
Yeah, they were talking about adding a super heavyweight class for a very long time, but I don't know. I mean, I guess the sanctioning bodies are preventing that from happening because I don't know what the situation behind that. But me personally, I don't think there needs to be any other weight class above heavyweight because there's been many great fighters who weighed under 200 pounds. I mean, barely over 200 pounds, like Joe Frazier's and back in the old days, like Joe Lewis, who was like
Yeah,
210, 205. I mean, back then, those days, those were considered super heavyweights. But Joe Frazier
yeah,
in his time, he was fighting guys like Ali and Foreman, who was like 230, 224. And he was barely 202, 205. And he was beating up, well, not Foreman, but he was beating Ali. And Holyfield himself was like 205, and he was beating guys at 250. So
yeah.
that's my on that. But
See,
yeah, if you think
I was only trying to think for the light heavyweight guys that need to move up 25 ridiculous pounds to go to cruiserweight. You know what I mean? Where I'm trying to think of something for them to close it. Maybe they can go up 15 pounds instead of 25. That's the only reason why. I'm not trying to say, notify the bigger guys at heavyweight if you don't want to.
right,
But it's just I don't like that 25-pound jump from light heavyweight to cruiserweight. It's too harsh. If we had it capped out at 190, I reckon Sergey Kovalev would be fighting at cruiserweight. You know what I mean? If we capped it at 190, I reckon Tony Bellew would have been there before he ended up losing to Adonis Stevenson, like where he was really struggling. But people are reluctant to jump up that extra weight class because it's 25 pounds difference. It's a monster difference. You know what I mean? And I think that should be reduced, and then we should be cutting back the smaller weights, man. Like Red Fox is saying in the comment section, all the 108s, the 15s, and 112s and 115. I mean, it just looks like they're going nowhere, and I'm counting 7 or 8 of them, and I'm still like, wow, are we going to get somewhere with these? Yeah, it's
well,
just
I mean,
ridiculous.
it is, and most of those weight classes not even getting recognition. So maybe it's best to eliminate them. you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been saying this for a while too, and D-Style made a video about that a few days ago, and I've been actually saying this for a while. D-Style obviously can break it down a lot better than I can, and it was just a brilliant video. One thing people overlook, and the reason why you don't give credit for smaller guys going up in weight more than any others. Look, D-Style didn't say this, but I'm just saying. I believe an average man it probably weighs about 170, 180, 185, around that range. But
Yeah.
that's not an athletic man. If a 180-pound man was single-digit body fat, he should be roughly about middleweight, maybe 154 pounder. If he was built to be a boxer, you know what I mean? So that's the average size man. The smaller amount of men is the ones that are weighing at 112. The guys that are fighting at 112. So not only are you making more weight divisions, there's a lot less participants in those weight classes. So
Right.
if you go look it up, it's not just jumping up weight classes and you're going up 3-4 pounds. Some of these weight classes only have 270, 280 participants in the weight class all over the world. All over the world. I mean, there's reasons for that. Like I said, the average man doesn't weigh 106, 108 to 115 pounds. That's first and foremost. And then on top of that, because there's not much participants, because there's not many people paying attention to it, a lot of the guys that are that size are saying boxing's not worth it for me because there's no money at that weight class. So I don't understand why it hasn't been paid more attention to. You know what I mean? And try to figure this out, to try to make the smaller weight classes a little bit more competitive and meaningful. So when you jump up weight classes and when you clean up the division, it means a little bit more, like it does if you were to do it at welterweight and junior middleweight and middleweight. You know what I mean? Where the competition is a lot more prestige. So it's crazy
Right.
to me. Yeah.
It's a good point. Again, it goes back to my point. It'd be best to just eliminate those small weight classes. You know, I'm getting
Mm.
feedback, man. Is it me or is it? Let me see. Hold on. Yeah, because there's a lot of echo. Because somebody's. Are you playing the video in your background, man?
No, there's no music playing in the background. I can hear you perfectly fine.
No,
I've
somebody's
just got
playing
my
a video.
phone open. Sorry?
Okay, because you're not playing the video? Because I'm hearing an echo. So are you playing the video in the background too? Or of us on our
No,
hangout?
no. I've got my phone on. If you, I'll switch it off. I don't know if
Yeah.
that helps. Is that better?
No. Yeah, it sounds better now. Yeah, that's much better.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was going to say that. Yeah, man. The thing is that I think we need to eliminate those small weight classes and kind of make sure things are not so cluttered, man. So that way we get those small guys to go up, and if they want to make a name for themselves, they're going to have to fight in the bigger weight classes. They're going to have to do it, like they did back in the old days. So, yeah, let me go back to the comments section here. I might wrap this up in a couple minutes here.
Yeah, no
Let me
problem,
see.
No problem.
Let me see. Kiwi Box. Well, shout out to Kiwi, man. What's up, brother? He said, yeah, MBT should work on a percentage of weight. Good point. We got to work on that. I mean, we got to reduce these weight classes, man. Let me
Kiwi,
see.
we'll be chucking some money on Joseph Parker tomorrow, just to let you know. So.
Oh, you got who you got for that fight? Joseph Parker or Kiwi
I've got
Fury?
Joseph Parker. I've got Joseph Parker by decision, so I'll be chucking 500 on that. So I think he's going to sneak out a decision. A lot of people are tipping him to win by knockout. I think Huey Fury. He's either not a hard puncher or his punching power hasn't really developed yet at such a young age. I think you're going to see Joseph Parker let his hands go a little bit more and not use the jab as much as he usually does against the likes of Carlos Takam and Andy Ruiz. He's going to be really trying to get on the inside to utilize that hand speed. I think he's going to sneak out a close decision. Hopefully he gets the right call anyway against Frank Warren, but if it's a fair fight and Huey Fury wins, I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you. It's really a 55-45 fight for me.
Yeah, I think Joseph's going to edge it out too. I think he's going to be by decision. I'm not going to. No, I don't. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to predict a knockout, but definitely I'm not going to rule it out. So because Huey Fury hasn't really been quite tested. So that's one thing. I mean, the only guy that kind of gave him a test was Fred Cassie, but other than that, nobody who's elite has ever given him a test. So we'll see once he gets hit by a bomb by Joseph Parker, see how well he takes it. So we'll know from there. But yeah, I definitely got Parker on that one. But dude, their promotion on that fight is terrible, man. And Joseph Parker deserves better than that. I'm sorry, dude.
New Zealand, though, I don't understand. I'm still trying to figure it out. Why did they take it out of New Zealand? Okay, it didn't fall through. He pulled out of it, but why not reschedule it there? Because the thing I'm getting is Huey Fury is not a big name in England. So unless they're trying to set him up for something, why are you taking it back there? Because Joseph Parker obviously is their main guy. You know what I mean? It's their main guy. The UK have plenty of guys. They would even pick Amir Khan over Huey Fury at the moment. But Joseph Parker is the man at New Zealand. And he even got a good support base down here in Australia. I don't know why they took it out of there. And the promotion, the ticket sale, speaking for itself for how poorly of a choice I believe they selected to have it in the UK. Doesn't make sense, man.
Right. Here's the thing about it. It's complex how the situation was processed. It goes back to last year when the fight was ordered by the WBO, right? Duco, when Dane Longren and Higgins were, when they were co-promoting the promotion together before they split off, they won the purse bid. And Huey Fury was playing games in that purse bid. First, he was talking about the split. They were arguing over the split. Then there were some disputes with that. And then the last minute, like 2 weeks before the fight was scheduled in New Zealand, when the tickets were already purchased and whatnot, the venue was booked, whatever. They were 2 weeks into the fight. Before the fight came up. The last minute, the Furies want the fight to be relocated over to the UK. The last minute, they tried to get over to the UK. The request was denied. So when the request was denied, Fury just pulls out all of a sudden with an injury. Just like that.
Yeah.
And that right there really pissed me off. And then now all of a sudden they got the fight rescheduled. The WBO reordered the fight. A purse bid was called, so I guess they made the deal. And to Kiwi's, she's chiming in on this one. He's saying the reason why the Duco, the other half of Duco Promotions agreed to it because they wanted to build Parker's profile in the UK. He already has a fan base over in New Zealand, like you said, in Australia. But the fact is they wanted to broaden his outreach, so that's why they agreed to take the fight over to the UK after it was canceled the first time.
That makes
So-
a lot of sense actually, because that would actually build both of them. That'll be beneficial for Fury and Joseph Parker, because obviously Joseph Parker's been vocal about getting the Anthony Joshua fight, so that'll help out if you can get a big win over there. And
right. I mean, Huey Fury fight would start things off, and then Kiwi also said that Joseph's opened up a business down there in the UK. He's moving there now. He's no longer going to be in Vegas, so he's no longer living in Vegas. So he's opened up a gym over there now. So he's going to be looks like he's going to be selling in the UK. From the looks
we're
of
losing
it.
everyone down under. Far out.
What's up, brother? You losing everybody? What's up?
We're losing everyone, man. We even lost Lucas Brown down here, you know, to the UK. We're going sitting there with Ricky Haddon. Jeez.
Oh man, your boy Lucas. What's Lucas doing, man? He turns down a Dillian White fight. He what's up?
You know, there's a rumor going on that's going to piss you off even more.
What's that?
It looks like him. He looks like he's in negotiations to fight. Oh, geez, I forgot his last name. The Australian dude that fought. He's Samoan Australian. Alex Lepia, the one that fought.
Alex
Leopold. Yep.
Leopold? What?
Yeah, man. He was retired for like 2-3 years, I believe. He came back and he fought a journeyman with a losing record, and now they're talking about having an Australian clash.
Jesus Christ! Alex Leopold is. Oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
Oh no!
I don't know if
no.
an Australian journeyman named Bob Mirovic. I don't know if you've
never
ever heard of him.
Never heard of him.
Okay,
but
he's got some really good inside sources. Yeah, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus Christ! Look.
It's sad.
Okay. First of all, look. Here's the thing. That fight would have made sense if, even though Leopold lost against Klitschko, coming off that loss, it helped his profile a little bit after he beat him. So it would have made sense then. But now that Leopold's been retired for 4 years or 3 years, whatever it is, dude's out of shape. I'm not sure he's in the shape he is now. I'm sure he's out of shape, but still.
No, he's out of shape. Yeah, he's only had one fight coming back. He took like 2 or 3 years off. Oh, it's funny, man. It's funny.
Yeah.
You know, the funny thing about Leopold is, you know, yeah, he was Samoan before he got the shot at Klitschko, and then all of a sudden we just claimed him.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
didn't even know he was Australian. All of a sudden, you know.
Yeah, I heard stories that he never wanted to claim his heritage until he got that shot at Klitschko. All of a sudden, he wants to claim his heritage.
He just claimed him out of nowhere. It was so funny, and then all of a sudden, it's just like the first Australian heavyweight champion of the world potentially if he beats Klitschko, and we're like, man, Leopold is Australian. I didn't even know that. I think after he lost, and we probably just gave him back to Samoa. Man, we're greedy.
Hey, but he cashed out. He made a lot of money on that Klitschko fight. He made the biggest fortune out of it. He invested in it.
Anyone that gets the Klitschko fight, yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up, brother. But before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and read Kiwi's last comment here. Shout out to Kiwi, man. He said, "Look, the real bad move for not fighting White by Lucas, no matter if it was a shitty paycheck or not, which I agree. The exposure would have made many people forget about his drug test issues." Thank you. Exactly. Okay. The thing is that Lucas can't go around feel that he can negotiate. He can go out and try to get some leverage out of negotiations. Given the fact that he's failed 2 drug tests, which is on his record now, he has no room to negotiate. He's going to have to take what he can. If he beats a guy like Dillian White, that would kind of, like you said, Kiwi, it will make people forget about that, and that he may eventually have a little bit of leverage now when he can negotiate future fights after that if he had taken it and beat Dillian White. But I don't know, man. He's making bad choices right now. Fight Alex Leopold. Get the fuck out of here, Alex Leopold. Oh man, I'm not giving Lucas no credit for that win. I expect him to run through Leopold. No credit for that win.
The funny thing is, he's not even young. I don't know what the hell he's doing. Don't expect me to have sympathy for you at 40 years old and you still haven't got a big fight, because we're all going to remember this. 7 weeks, man. 7 weeks to train. I mean, come on, man. Especially your situation. You failed 2 drug tests. And I'm sorry, man, but you know, I just can't use these excuses. I defended him on the first one because I know what goes on in Russia. You know what I mean? So I defended the fine, but the second one, not only did he fail the test, but he came out like real arrogant on camera. And he says, you know, it was a pre-workout, so how the fuck is that a PED? listen, man, you have the obligation when you're being drug tested to know what's banned and what's not. If I was told that caffeine is a banned substance, that means every time I walk down the street and I'm walking past a cafe, I'm putting my shirt over my mouth to make sure I don't even sniff the coffee. You know what I mean? Like that's how much you got to take your career serious after you failed one drug test. You know what I mean? And to have that arrogant response, and expecting people to do, because even though you are correct and it was an honest mistake, you failed 2 drug tests in 1 year, bro. You know what I mean? And now you come out and you fight this guy that, that was broadcasted on YouTube. Very poor broadcasting, by the way. And then you got an opportunity to fight Dillian White, where you just automatically become top 10 in every single every single sanctioning body. And you turn that down because 7 weeks training camp. 7 weeks, man. It's mind-boggling. And you're a heavyweight. You don't need to make weight. You know what I mean? Like, crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I mean, yeah, and I agree. I was actually one of the parties. I defended him on the first drug test too, based off that situation. But the second one, I was like, nah, man, I can't defend you on that one within 6 months. No way, I can't do it. But he's fortunate enough that he's able to get a sanctioned body ranking by the WBC. I think he's ranked like number 13 or something like that. He's fortunate to get a ranking with them.
Yeah.
So, but now all of a sudden he's turning down fights. Nah, you have no, you got to do something. You, like you said, you're pushing 40. You got to get some fights somewhere somehow, man. You got to start making money now because you haven't made any money technically since you've been at this. So now's the time, brother. Now's the time. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up, brother. It's a pleasure to have you on, man. Real talk.
It's finally a pleasure to be part of it, man. I keep missing out on a couple because I'm always on the road, so that's why when you invite me, it's really tough for me. But I really appreciate the invite, man, and looking forward to doing this hopefully once again in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And glad to have you on. We got to do this again, definitely. And Kiwi, shout out to Kiwi Box. He actually wants to come on next time we have it. Next time we have this discussion, he wants to chime in.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely, Kiwi.
Shout out to everyone.
Go ahead, man.
I was just saying, shout out to everyone in the comment section, everyone that was contributing. Sorry we couldn't keep up with everyone, but shout out to everyone from me anyway.
Right. Yeah, shout out to B-Mar, shout out to Red Fox, Alexander Mayweather, Great Drink. Shout out to you, brother, Tony Yayo. Shout out to you, all you guys, man. Great debate, man. We kept it civil. So yeah, man. Until next time, I am out. We're out. So MBT, where can they find you, brother? Before I go.
MBT Boxing.
All right, that's all to it. Just type in MBT Boxing.
All right, peace, gentlemen. Take care. Thanks, Dan, once again.
Anytime, brother. Take care.